Hello. This is Disney 65 on here, and today I'm going to do a movie review of a film that that came out 29 years ago, and we finally got a sequel now. It is, of course, Hocus Pocus 2. Now, there will be spoilers in the end of this review, so you have been warned. So this is my non-spoiler review, and I'm going to show you, then I'm going to tell you my spoiler after that. So you have been warned, you haven't seen it yet. So moving on. So this movie, now I have written down their names here because there's some names I can't pronounce, so I've written down here. So this one has the original cast: Bette Midler, Kathy Najimy, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Doug Jones, the guy that played Billy Butchinson. And this time they're teaming up with Leela Buckingham, who was Cassie Traskey, Whitney Peake, who was Becca, Sam Richardson, who was Gilbert, Tony Hale. Yes, Tony Hale's in this movie. He plays Jeffrey Traskey. Belissa Escobedo is Izzy. And there's also a surprise cameo by Anna Waddington. So this sequel starts off with the three Sanderson sisters when they were young, and there's this like evil mayor played by Tony Hall who kind of has a thing against them. But of course they stumble across this like forbidden forest, owned by Mother Witch played by Hannah Waddington, and they receive this book, the book with eye. But of course, the witch tells Winfrey that there's one spell in particular that she cannot use at all because it's actually like a sacrifice curse. So of course, it cuts then to a couple of decades later, 2022, and we meet with Becca and Izzy. Becca is played by Whitney Peake. I never heard of her before. And Izzy's played by Belissa Escobedo. They also have a friend as well called Cassie, played by Lilia Buckingham. I don't know, yeah, Lilia Buckingham. Of course, their friendship's kind of it's kind of like a on off because of a certain thing that happened to them in the past. Um, so of course we get to Becca then, who of course decides to go to the shop which used to be the Sanderson's house, which is now turned into this gift shop owned by Gilbert, played by Sam Richardson. And he, of course, gives Becca this gift, which is, you guess it, the black candle, which if you light it on Hallows Eve, the witch comes back to life again. So what does she do? She decides to go to the Forbidden Forest, herself and a friend. They light the candle, and the sisters are back again. There's also so I'm not gonna okay. This is my okay. So I'm not gonna say any more, but that's my non-spoiler before I go into any details. But for this non-spoiler, I actually enjoyed this movie. I did not expect it to be this good because in the original movie, I know I shouldn't be saying this, but in the original movie, they never stopped talking about virgins and eating the lives of children, and I was like, oh my! It literally just kept hitting you and hitting you all the time, saying, "Oh, a virgin, a virgin, a virgin." I'm like, "Oh my God, will you shut up talking about virgins? We get it. A virgin lit the candle, so what?" In this one, however, they don't mention virgins at all that much, which is kind of a plus because it's not annoying. But yeah, Bette Midler, come on, Bette Midler is an icon, is a legend. I mean, the woman was in Beaches. She was in The First Wives Club. She was in another movie called Risky Business. I think the last film she was in was Parental Guidance with what's his name, Billy Crystal. That was it. That was the last film I saw her in. I think it was. Sarah Jessica Parker was great as well, and Kathy Najimy, who plays Mary, she was good as well. The new cast is good as well. I liked the new cast, especially Whitney Peake. I thought she was good. She kind of reminded me of, for some strange reason, she reminded me of China McClan. Do you know the girl from Ant Farm? That's who I thought it was in the very beginning. I thought it was her, but it wasn't her. It was Whitney Peake. Um, so yeah, overall, I give it. Do you know what? I'm giving it 7.5 out of 10. I thought it was very, very good, and I was very impressed with it. So moving on to Disenchanted. when that comes out in November. Hopefully that'll be as good as this one. And oh yeah, and before I go into spoiler mode, there's also like two new songs. So like they're kind of cover songs. The first one is "The Witch Is Back," which is known as "The Bitch Is Back" by Elton John, but this is called "The Witch Is Back," which I thought was very good. It's also like a studio version, spoiler alert in the end, which I thought was very cool. And there's also another song called "One Way or Another," which is the Blondie song. And yeah, that's my non-spoiler review. Now to spoilers. Okay, if you're watching this, if you want to see what the spoiler is, then feel free to stick around. If not, do not watch the rest of this until you watch the movie. With that being said, let's go into spoilers. Finally, okay. So the spoilers. Okay, so it turns out that Becca is actually a witch. How is she a witch? I have no idea. But she, of course, receives this candle for her 16th birthday, which is kind of like Sabrina the Teenage Witch, because if you watch Sabrina the Teenage Witch on her 16th birthday, she became a witch. So we don't really know much about her parents or nothing. Like there's nothing at all about Becca's parents at all in this movie. But when I found out the twist that Becca was a witch, I was like, oh my god, are you serious? Then there's, of course, the climax, which I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit teary eyed, I'm not gonna lie. The climax is basically like Winfrey, she gets all the stuff for the maximum mode or whatever you call it. It's this very powerful, as I said in the non spoiler review, it's a very powerful spell. So, of course, she, of course, decides to use it because she wants revenge on the mayor, who I think was a reincarnation of the mayor that they had back in 1653. I think it was as well. And of course, like they kind of try and do the spell, but of course it backfires because Sarah and Mary end up evaporating forever, and Winfrey is literally heartbroken. So Becky, of course, decides to do a spell because now she's the owner of the book that Winfrey used to have. So now Becky, who is now a witch, has the book. And she, of course, Becky decides to do a spell to bring Winfrey back to her sisters again. Winfrey is all like, oh thanks so much. And then she's just disappears. And we never see her after that ever again. Or do we? Who knows? Oh yeah, and also Billy is back. You know, the zombie guy voiced by and played by no, played by Doug Jones, who's like the master of prosthetics. Um, he was good too, and it was nice to see him actually speaking this time, like because he wasn't really speaking much in the original one, but it's nice that he had more of a bigger part in this one. And is there any other twists? Is there any other spoilers I have to say before I wrap this up? No, I think that's it. But yeah, in my honest opinion, I thought it was better than the original one, to be honest with you. I was actually shocked by how good it was. I didn't think I'd like it, but I actually did like it. Because again, it doesn't mention about virgins and all that crap compared to the first one. And then I thought then that one of the girls would be related to Max or Max's girlfriend or, but they weren't, which I was surprised about. I was kind of disappointed that we didn't get to see Omar Krabs, is that the guy's name? Or Torna Birch or Vanessa Shaw. I was kind of disappointed we didn't get to see them. Sadly, because they had other stuff to do, and of course, like two of them retired, two of the actors that were in the original movie retired. But yeah, it would have been cool if we did see them. Also, another thing, there's also clips of the original Hocus Pocus thrown in as well, which I thought was very, very clever. So yeah, overall I loved it. And let me know in the thoughts. Let me know in the comments down below. Did you see Hocus Pocus 2? Did you think it was better than the original one? Did you like, or did you prefer the sequel, or did you prefer the original one? Let me know in the comments down below. And yeah, thanks for watching and take care.